We're back with another board game that reminds us of the classic video and PC game series SimCity. Today we'll be discussing Between Two Cities from Stonemaier Games. Make sure to watch our last episode to see what we think of Quadropolis from Days of Wonder, and stay tuned for our next episode to see how we think the two compare. Between Two Cities is a very fast-paced game in which players draft building tiles to complete 2 cities at a time. The twist? You must work on each city in conjunction with neighboring players, who each have their own neighbors to work with. That's right, you have a table full of people who are working together, yet being totally selfish at the same time, because only one master city planner will emerge victorious in the end. Each round, you're going to select a number of tiles and secretly select 2 building tiles, one for the city on your left and one on your right. So I'll pick these guys. I pass the remaining tiles to the next player. So once everybody reveals their tiles, this is where the negotiations begin. I'm going to want to maximize my scores on both sides here and decide what would be best in each city, but I'm also trying to convince my neighbors on either side that they want to put their better tile into our shared city and not into the jerk city over there. After several rounds of drafting, you're going to end up with complete 4x4 city grids on both sides. To give you an example of how these buildings score, parks, for instance, are going to give you more points the bigger the park. However, if you go it too big, there are some diminishing returns. You can also build houses, and houses score the best based on having a variety of buildings in your city. So the more different colors you have, the better that house will score. Unfortunately, if you accidentally place your house next to a factory, belching out pollution this whole time, then you're going to have a major penalty in scores. Factories themselves, though, do score a multiplier based on which cities have the most factories. The weird, interesting extra twist in this is that your individual score is actually going to be the lesser of the 2 scores, so you'll have to work hard to build both of your cities up equally. The highest individual score wins, of course. In this review, we also added in the separately sold Capitals expansion. So the Capitals expansion adds in a new building type, which are civic buildings. And it also comes with some fancy player mats that help you grow a 5x5 city rather than the 4x4. And in Capitals, you're also going to get more points for building large districts of similar type buildings. Now let's see what the Going Analog reviewers think.
Hey, you two, welcome back.
Hey.
I noticed you didn't change your clothes for this shoot. Thanks a lot for that. But we're back to do part 2 of a 3-part series where we're talking about SimCity kind of games, like games, right? So this time we're talking about Between Two Cities. Anna, you're here. You're from Double Fine. You're a gameplay programmer at Double Fine.
That's right.
Responsible for such games as like Broken Age. A lot of people have heard of.
Yes, Psychonauts, Brutal Legend, Costume Quest, Headlander. Lots of those.
All right, that's a lot of really awesome games from Double
really
Fine.
good
Right,
games.
okay. And Jess, you and I are coworkers at a unnamed video game company.
Yes.
We don't like to talk about where we're from because HR doesn't really want us talking about that. But you work in the video games industry, you're creative services, and you play a ton of board games. Like you and I probably spend too much time chatting about board games.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I'm your host, as you guys know. So we're going to today talk about Between Two Cities, the second of our SimCity games. We already talked in the intro about how this game plays. You know, we're drafting, we're working on cities with a person on each side of you. Jess, why don't you start us off? What did you like about Between Two Cities?
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting mechanic of, you start the game off sort of partnering with the people next to you, knowing that you're going to be competing for the highest scores at the end. So I thought that was interesting, and creating that sort of player interaction in a game that's relatively short. You're trying to negotiate with the people next to you, like when you're drafting your pieces, I'll play this city or maybe this city, and you kind of have to figure that out. And so I really like that kind of interaction, and just, yeah, the design of it, the way the tiles score. I really like tile placement games, so this is one that it did really well.
Yeah. How about you, Anna?
So the thing I really, really loved about this game is that there's a mechanic in here that I've never really played with before, which is, as you kind of started saying, is that like you are competing for the highest of the low scores, but you're...
Well, Yes.
Yes.
I was like, did you say that right? Yeah, you did say it. Yeah, because your two cities,
Yes,
your final
the
score is
lowest
the lower
one, yeah.
between the two.
Yeah, and so it behooves you to actually make both cities relatively equal. Like you're not just pouring all your efforts into one and not the other. But the thing that is really interesting is the fact that the people that you're competing against, you're actually collaborating with. And so it feels like you have like two girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, the two partners, like, just like, oh man, my one girlfriend really loves parks, and that's like, it's like I have to get her something nice. It's like you're getting like little presents for your spouse or something, but you have two of them. She's like, oh yeah. And Jess, he really loves these, like, the factories or whatever it may be. It feels.
And meanwhile, Jess has another lover.
Yes,
that
exactly.
He's taking care of,
and it's
right?
cool, and we're totally cool with that.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
It's accepted.
Yeah, it's accepted, and it's just like it's kind of like a cool, pleasant feeling.
Yeah, because
that
like if you flipped over that piece,
Yeah.
I'll be like, yes, good
Yes,
job. And
yes,
then
like,
we
oh, thanks,
yeah,
we high five. And it's like, literally just like, Jess, look, I got your little park. And you're like, yes, thank you. And he might have a present for me. No, it's just like, that's kind of the kind of interaction you have is that. And it's cool. And I've never actually, I've never played a game like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love this player interaction. Like when I've shown this game to at least 30 people, right? Because it's a good big group game. That's one thing I love. Like sometimes I'll have like a ton of people over, or like some weird number, like 6 people. Like, okay, what do we do with that group? Like this is a perfect size game. It plays in about 20 minutes or so. The longest explanation is just how to score. But when I teach them, like, you're working with this person and you're working with this person, everyone's like, ooh, that's really cool. That's really interesting. So I love showing this game to people. And I love how fast paced it is too, because like once you get started, it's like boom, 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 boom. 20 minutes later, you're done, and then everyone had a good time.
Yeah.
Did you guys not like anything about this game? Anna?
I will say that I wish that the pieces, there was some effort made to make them a little bit more different from one another. They all kind of just look bland. Like they have this gray outline and things like that. And I just wish that I was more excited about each piece and that I could very quickly identify from afar, like, oh, that's a factory. Let's not put it next to a house or whatever, whatever it is, so that it would feel a little bit more like city building. Because the frame of mind, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, is that you're buying like these little presents. It's almost like you're setting up a room rather than the city. Like I didn't feel like a SimCity sort of thing.
That's one of the reasons actually why I like the Capitals expansion, which adds these player mats, is like it adds some personality. You can see like now, like I have this sort of tropical thing, and you have this valley, and you have whatever's going on over there.
The waterfall.
Waterfall.
Waterfall. So it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. It kind of gives some diversity to our cities. But yeah, I think I generally agree with you where it's like the art's a little bland. I mean, I do like that they put the scoring details on each tile, so that like at a glance it's functional.
Right.
But it's not a very exciting looking city by the end. Yeah.
Right.
How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The theme didn't really pop for me. It didn't really, it just wasn't that interesting. The scoring mat here is kind of useless. You pull it out at the end and you score it and that's great, but it just...
Wait, what would you do in this play? I think it's useful because it's like, okay, now we're going to score the shops. Now we're going to score the office buildings. So then you have this nice.
Oh, not
board.
useless in terms of scoring, just like the way I'm talking in terms of the design. Like this
the
is
presence.
Like the sorry, I guess I should rephrase that. I didn't like that this board is just kind of it. I mean, it functions perfectly fine, and you pull it out and you score it, but just the theme and the look of the game, this just didn't really. It doesn't really add anything much to it. It's a really big board too. I mean, especially when you're playing with multiple players, it just goes back to the whole presentation of the game. I think it didn't really hit for me.
One thing that was good, I thought, was like we have these tiles which automatically combine multiple pieces. Like I think in terms of design, functional design, they're great. It's more just like they could have tied the theme together better. Like for instance, these pieces are awesome. Like the actual like symbols for the cities that you're building, but they don't really like you have the Big Ben here, but you're not building London. Like none of those themes are tied together.
Yeah,
it just felt like they were sprinkled on top.
Speaking of the Capitals expansion, I like the player mats, and I like that it adds some design variety, and I like that there's more scoring options. But the civic buildings, these purple buildings, I think I'm kind of torn about these because one, they add variety, right? Because instead of every park piece is the same, every office piece is the same, but these are different. So there's like, oh, here's the police station, and there's different civic buildings, which is kind of nice. But these symbols are like the tiniest symbols, and you have to like match these symbols with these to figure out what scores the best. So I find, like I said, I've taught this game to a ton of people, and then this is this building specifically is the one I like explaining the least, because I feel like everything else is really like build your parks together, but or build different types of inns and taverns. But this is the one where I'm like, I don't know if this adds a lot of fun. And even though the rules sort of they give you 3 different options, right? Like building the districts, the player mat, and the civic buildings. They don't really present it like, oh, these are optional modules, pick and choose what you want. I think in the future I might say, yeah, you know what, we're not going to play with one of these, just to kind of simplify it. Because the beauty in this game is its simplicity more than its complexity and strategy.
Right.
All right, let's get to our conclusions. So as you know, you're going to roll a d20, and that's how many words you get to have for your final thoughts. 1.
16.
16.
All right. Oh man, you guys are going to agonize over this again like last episode. All right, we're back. I'm still beaming because I rolled a 1. So happy about that. All right, you both tied with 16. So Anna, why don't you go first this time?
Okay, you guys ready for this? Wonderful competitive co-op. Like buying presents for 2 lovers. But falls short of capturing city building.
All right, that was really well written.
Yeah, it was good.
Jess?
Between Two Cities is unique, but the city building and presentation leaves much to be desired.
Okay. I wrote, great. All right. So if you love the game, give it 2 thumbs up. If you like it, 1 thumb up. If you are okay on it, meh, so-so, sideways thumb. If you don't like it, thumbs down. Okay. And we're going to vote on 3. If we happen to unanimously love it, it's going to get an award for from the Going Analog show.
Has that ever happened?
It's never happened. Never happened. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you're mad on it. Okay. Well, this is probably the most diverse number of reviews. Yeah. Love, like, meh. All right, cool. All right, thank you guys. Similar to last episode, we're not going to do a Sean Baby segment at the end of this episode because we're going to get back together and talk about the last 2 reviews we did, Between Two Cities and Quadropolis from Days of Wonder, 2 sort of similar SimCity style city building games. We're going to compare the 2, and then Sean Baby will help us wrap up that episode. Yeah, thanks guys.
Awesome.